How's everybody doing? Welcome back to another episode of The Banker Next Door. I am your host, Dr. Joe Berquist. Today, I wanted to talk to everybody about safe deposit boxes. I saw a really interesting article in the Wall Street Journal that basically asked the question, are banks cutting back on this service? And if so, why are they doing that? Are consumers and business people out there not utilizing safe deposit boxes anymore? Is it becoming too expensive? What are kind of the reasons behind that? And furthermore, if banks are not doing safe deposit boxes or not providing that service anymore, is there an opportunity for perhaps other companies out there to pick up and kind of run with this service? So, with that being said, let's take a jump into this Wall Street Journal article. Now, this is called "No One Can Find Safe Deposit Boxes Anymore." Banks are ditching a traditional service they consider to be outdated. So good luck getting a safe deposit box. Longtime deposit box renters are getting kicked out of their boxes by banks that are shutting down or scaling back the service. Customers say they have been struggling to find the small boxes traditionally kept inside vaults to store family heirlooms and other valuables. Chris Wall called 13 branches around the San Francisco Bay Area over the past 18 months and visited another 6 or 7 in her unsuccessful search for new boxes. The 49-year-old gemologist and jeweler uses them to store her work, but was told to vacate her extra large box at a First Republic branch last year. A decade ago, she got on a wait list at one bank that said it expected an opening in 9 years. It never called. She recently learned the bank got rid of the deposit boxes completely. It's literally going the way of landlines, Wall said. To some banks, the boxes are becoming more trouble than they are worth. Banks say the service is an anachronism in a time when people increasingly manage their checking in accounts and investments on apps and websites. There are more convenient options to store valuables. A search for home safes on Amazon yields hundreds of results. Home security has gotten more advanced and burglaries have trended down over the past 2 decades. Yet, safe deposit box customers who tend to be affluent and middle-aged or older see them as a bread and butter bank service. They stash important paper documents in them, such as the title to a house or car, as well as family heirlooms like jewelry and coin collections. And then this goes on to say that this is a disappearing service. So JP Morgan Chase, the nation's largest bank, said in late 2021 that it would stop offering new boxes to customers and existing renters would lose theirs if their branch closed. JP Morgan became the owner of First Republic last year after it was seized by regulators. It eventually closed all the deposit boxes when it began renovating and rebranding the branches. Some 48% of Chase branches have safe deposit boxes, but there are no boxes in the new branches opening, so that share is likely to shrink. When we talk to our clients and ask them why they are visiting the branch, it's generally because they want to speak with somebody or apply for a mortgage or car loan or get investment advice, said Jerry Dombrowski, a JP Morgan spokesman. Santander Bank stopped selling boxes altogether earlier last year, saying they were underutilized. Capital One stopped renting new boxes in 2017. PNC Bank said last week that it would open 100 new branches, but none would have safe deposit boxes. Even banks that are committed to this service are closing branches and have fewer boxes to offer. Wells Fargo, which has closed roughly 1,200 branches over the past 5 years, said it offers boxes in the vast majority of its branches. So there is no official tally of boxes, and estimates vary. Jerry Pleward, co-founder of Safe Deposit Box Insurance Coverage, said there are about 20% fewer than the 40 million safe deposit boxes that existed only 6 years ago. The boxes are essentially tiny gym lockers in a heavily secure location. They usually require a key held by the owner and a key held by the bank to open. The contents, unlike bank deposits, get no special protections from the bank or the federal government. Customers must buy their own insurance. Banks don't make much profit on them. The 3-inch tally by 5-inch wide boxes can rent for as little as $15 a year. 10 by 10-inch boxes might go for more than $250 a year, said Dave McGowan, president of Safe Deposit Specialist, which trains and consults with banks and credit unions about proper box operations. The boxes can make customers more likely to keep their money at the bank and sign up for other banking services. A safe deposit box is the hardest account you can close, McGowan said. He said a credit union where he banked recently told him he had to close his deposit box. When he did, he closed out his other accounts there too. And then we go into the next section, which is gold bars and deer legs. Some banks say a smaller share of the deposit boxes are rented out these days, but many people still want boxes, Pleward said. He has noticed more people looking for boxes to store precious metals, which have become popular during this year's surge in gold prices. The customers buying gold bars at stores like Costco need somewhere to keep them. All sorts of unusual items end up in boxes, and banks never knew what to expect when they had to get into them. Among the things McEwen said had been found are baby teeth, false teeth, an umbilical cord, drugs, a stack of Playboy magazines, deer legs wrapped in butcher paper, antique firearms, and 3 sticks of explosives that required a bomb squad to be called. As banks get out of this business, some independent companies sense an opportunity. Blue Vault operates 2 private vaults in California with safe deposit boxes. It is planning to open locations in Texas and Arizona. John Sandhouse, who runs the company, said that about a quarter of the people who open boxes do it because their banks don't have any available. We get calls daily. They're shutting down my branch, he said. Zishan Aziz said that when a Chase branch notified his family that it was closing their deposit box last year, he went on a hunt for a new one. He called 5 big banks, then started visiting local credit unions and banks near his home on New York's Long Island. No one had an available box and no one knew who did. He has since given up the search. Not that I'm expecting Jamie Dimon to give us a call, said Aziz, referring to JP Morgan Chase's chief executive. You would have thought some arm of the bank would have helped us. So there's a number of things here to unpack in this article. So first of all, it goes into basically like the cost of a safe deposit box being relatively cheap, like $15 to $250. I think it's actually probably a little bit more expensive than that at a lot of banks. I think it really depends on the size of the box that you get. But a common issue that you run into, and all banks and credit unions have dealt with this at some time or another, is that you have boxes of varying sizes within the branches, and the bigger boxes, the biggest boxes or the medium-sized boxes always sell out very quickly. It's always the smallest boxes that are kind of lingering around and are kind of hard to sell. So I think the proportions of the boxes have always been an issue because, like I said, people like the big boxes because you can store more stuff in them. And if you're looking to put like precious metals, jewelry, family heirlooms, money, cash, whatever it is that you're looking to store in the box, you generally want at least a somewhat decent sized box. I mean, some of these boxes can be really tiny, and there's really not much you can put in there. And if you have to put a standard 8x11 size document, like say you want to keep the deed to your house, or you want to keep the titles to your vehicles, birth certificates, other important documents in the box, having a tiny little 4x8 or 2x10 box or whatever is not really gonna help you out or get the job done. So that's part of the issue there. The other part of the issue is the cost of drilling the box. Like if the bank has to, like if somebody passes away, they don't pay for the box anymore. They try to, bank tries to contact family members that, nothing's happening there. They probably at some point have to end up drilling the box. That can be, somewhat expensive. I mean, it could be anywhere from, $500, $600 to have a special locksmith come in and basically drill the lock, open it up. And then once you drill the lock, then you obviously have to repair the box to be able to then rent it to the next customer that would like to take it out. So, and then you get the issue of the government. The government can kind of come in and say, "Hey, we want to do a search of the box. We need to get in there." And then if the person doesn't want to come in, again, you're back to square. You might have to drill the box again if the government's saying, "We got to get in there. We got to have it." So that can also become a big headache. Despite all that, though, I think there is a very big point that this article makes about customers, wanting those safe deposit boxes, and, basically people don't give them up generally when they have them, and it's the hardest product to get rid of. And generally, I think that because again, you're more affluent and your middle, kind of your middle class, middle income customers tend to be the ones that get those boxes, and they don't like to give them up. And if you take the box from them, I think there's a very high probability that they're gonna go and move all their accounts and go to another bank that will. I think this is also a great opportunity for a lot of community banks out there. Most community banks still have their vaults. They still have their safe deposit boxes. They still service those deposits. They still offer those services to their customers. I think that could be a great competitive advantage as the bigger banks, as JP Morgan and Santander and some of the other banks out there in the market. Like I said, the really big banks. The big four, the super regional banks, as they continue to get rid of safe deposit boxes, that's going to open up a huge opportunity for community banks and even credit unions as they continue to offer those services. Now, final piece here is I think that if banks and credit unions do stop offering the services, there's always going to be a certain number of people out there that don't want to store things at their house. Like, why don't you want to store things at your house? Well, number one, if your house gets blown, I mean, we've seen the catastrophic damages from some of the tornadoes and things like that. I think if a bank branch gets hit, the odds of the vault surviving a major storm or cataclysmic event or a fire or something like that are much better than at your house. So because of the way that the vault is built inside the building. So I think that's a good thing, but it can be, sometimes keeping things at your house is, even though you have safe and security and other stuff, it could still be an issue. I mean, we've seen recently in the press, like all these NFL players getting their houses robbed. And, again, these are people, very wealthy athletes that have the ability to buy all state-of-the-art security and everything under the sun that you can imagine. And yet their houses still get robbed. So there is that issue of kind of safety and security there that you want to watch out for. So if banks stop offering this service, I think there will be a huge opportunity out there for independent companies to offer this, and a lot of people will still take that up and still want to use it. My hope, though, is that banks, won't stop offering this service, will continue to offer this service, and we'll continue to see the value in it, because I don't think it's going to go. It'll never go away. Maybe it won't be quite as prevalent as it was, but I don't think it will ever go away. But anyway. Thought this was a really interesting episode on safe deposit boxes and kind of what was going on there and the environment with it. So stay tuned. We'll see what happens with this. But if you like this episode, please make sure to like, share, and subscribe, as that always helps the channel. Remember, we are on YouTube, Rumble, and all major podcast platforms. Please check out some of the other content on the channel. Leave your comments down below, as I always love getting back to everybody. And I will see everyone again real soon.